Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, March 1st. We made it through another month, shortest one. And we've got Tesla's Investor Day today. So we're looking forward to hearing Elon Musk speak on all things Tesla related. We've got a couple more earnings this week. Best Buy, Costco, Macy's, Neo reported this morning, Salesforce, Wendy's, so on. So lots of interesting stuff to discuss today. Looking forward to getting into it. So I won't take up too much time and open it up for discussion. If you'd like to come up here and talk, just raise your hand and we'll invite you up. But yes, welcome everyone. I'll start off by asking, anyone playing Tesla today or in general? All right.
No, I have Tesla shares for the Investor Day event. I didn't want to do the options because the premiums are really high, and I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to have a good result or a bad result, so I just bought the shares, and I'll just hang on to those until I can make a profit on them.
So it's currently down 2% in pre-market, but I have a feeling that's going to change as soon as Investor Day starts because all EVs tend to rise when Tesla has good news.
Which ticker was that? I didn't hear.
It was
which ticker
LCID.
Oh, okay.
The ticker was LCID, Lucid. So, like, what else would I be talking about if I'm talking about EVs? Like, seriously, it's your boy.
Me.
So you could theoretically buy 100 shares of Tesla and sell the 140 March 3 calls for, let's see, what's the current? Well, if you can sell the 140 March 3 calls for at least $65, $66 dollars, you'll have more or less a guaranteed profit, and you can take advantage of whatever Ivy crush there is on something that far out of the money. Personally, I'm not going to touch Tesla because too much irrational buying. The capacity for irrational buying is very high.
That's for damn sure. And no Tartstrology today, of course, because it's raining again. So we got cloudy Tartstrology. I can't read the skies because there's fucking clouds everywhere. But I do have another Tartstrology play of the day for y'all. I already got in on these, so I'm actually in on two $10 calls dated for the end of this week on none other than Lucid, LCID. I'm hoping these $10 calls strike twice. I hit lightning in a bottle twice. That would be pretty freaking awesome. But if not, it was like $8 for the fucking contracts, so it was nothing.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Scald.
Morning, Scald. How you feeling?
I would say I feel better, but that happens every time I'm on antibiotics. So the real question will be, how do I feel after this protocol ends? That'll be the make or break moment.
You'd think there's some sort of leading indicator.
Does anybody know why AMC is down? I think they beat by like 33%, and then their shares are like -6%.
The ape,
Pre-market.
the ape relisting or merging or whatever technically is going on there. The ape dilution, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Yeah, so there's voting underway right now to convert the ape shares 1-for-1 to AMC shares, and then other things on the proxy statement on the proxy ballot. We're doing a reverse split, a 10-for-1 reverse split. So there's going to be share dilution. There's a reverse split, and then so that's probably why they're going down. And they still have a lot of debt, so there's that.
That reverse split does not sound good at all.
Usually it's received in a bearish fashion.
Frankly, I'm more interested to know how the unemployment claims news tomorrow will come out. ISM manufacturing out at 10 a.m. today. I don't think it's going to mean much. It's just a survey of purchasing management, of purchasing managers. Oh.
Isn't like everything coming in a little hot in January? Like every data.
What do you guys think of Best Buy?
Responsible bug, I meant 140. The idea is that you sell a deep in the money call and then you buy shares at the money so that you have the intrinsic value locked in, and then the extrinsic value is anything in excess of that. So as long as the price of Tesla in that hypothetical trade doesn't go below 140 by March 3, you make, what is it, maybe $2 on your collateral. So $2 gain over the 140 in collateral, it's 1.4%. March 3 is 2 days away, so it comes out to an annualized 1,300% return. As long as you think the price of Tesla doesn't go below 140, can't possibly go below 140. And then you can, of course, adjust your in-the-money strike accordingly. What's important is the in-the-money strike plus the premium is greater than the share price you paid to buy the collateral. And sorry, who asked about Bed Bath & Beyond?
Best Buy.
Oh, Best Buy? Let's see. The earnings for Best Buy is out tomorrow morning, and the implied movement right now is $5 up or down, possibly maybe $6 up or down. So if you think Best Buy will be below 77 or above 89 between now and March 3, you should buy that strangle. Otherwise, you should sell it. That's what the market implied move is.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question. What website do you use to like check the exact implied volatility?
I don't. What I did was I took the cost of a put just out of the money, so the 83 strike, and the cost of a call, the 84 strike. I added those together, so you have approximately 280 plus 240. And then you take the sum of that, and then you add that to the current price, and you subtract it from the current price. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
In general, what's that options pattern called?
That particular strategy is called a strangle. The idea is that you don't know which direction the stock is going to go, but you know it will move far and in only one direction.
Right.
It's particularly popular nowadays on FinTok, and it's kind of funny because I have no trouble selling strangles at overpriced valuations to these FinTokers.
Wait, are we fin talkers?
Depends. Do you listen to financial gurus on FinTok?
Ah, okay. Not TALK, TOK. Got it.
Yes. Same for FinTwit and Finstagram.
If you call Hardy a finfluencer, he'll send a drone to stab you. So don't do that.
I thought he has one of those drones with the flamethrower. Like, wouldn't he go that route?
Why would I send a flamethrower when I can send a knife?
So you can burn them in their house alive.
It takes a lot of fuel to burn a
tell
body.
them they choose how to die. Medium rare, well done.
It takes a lot of fuel to burn a body. I've seen people get cremated.
Hey, while we're talking about that, how are those mid-market restaurant companies holding up? Like Ruth, you know? I mean, like, they all got beaten down during the pandemic, but do we think as people are tightening their belt a little bit, maybe there might be some bearish movement on these guys?
A lot of their revenue, or their margins are low, right? So their cost of goods sold is very closely tied to revenue, which implies food, labor, and other, well, let's see, food and labor, I guess, would be the big ones. And no one's hiring. Most of these places typically are understaffed, but there's also lower traffic. So it all more or less moves in sync.
The Wendy's where I work has been very slow.
We talking like 50% slower than normal?
There's been very low volume.
Okay.
I mean, if we see them going from these mid-level restaurants to fast food, the one thing that they will not be doing is tightening their belt.
What's a mid-level restaurant? You said Ruth's. Anything else? We talking like IHOP or Olive Garden?
Yeah, I'm talking like the Olive Gardens, the Outback Steakhouses. These kind of like, they're not fast food, but they're not fine dining. You know, they're Applebee's, right?
Okay, so like quick table service.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Wingstop on there?
Yeah, I mean, looking at Ruth, the ticker, like, it's just, I don't know. Seems to be at a pretty, it seems like there's plenty of room for it to come down from where it currently is, but, you know, that's what I've been looking at, is the ticker Ruth.
Well, I mean,
Thinking about,
it's a medium tier restaurant that sells itself off and has prices like it's slightly higher, like it's upper middle tier, I guess. So that might be they're losing the people who are like, okay, I'm not going to splurge today, and then the other more actual mid tier like Applebee's and that are probably seeing those people who realize that Ruth's is probably a bit overpriced.
Yeah, I would say Applebee's is definitely lower tier due to the fact that, at least in my state, when the pandemic hit, we ordered from them and they ended up serving us cocktails in gravy containers. They just ladled it in like it was gravy, but it was liquor. I mean, God bless them.
I think that says more
We got
about
wrecked.
Ohio's drinking problem than
drinking
it does
the
about
dog.
Applebee's lack of class.
Wait, there's class in Applebee's?
There's what?
Class?
Class is relative.
Did anybody play High on Life? And then there was like an Applebee's and High on Life. Yeah, that was kind of tough.
What's the company that has Applebee's in that? Is it the same company that has like Olive Garden as well?
Yeah, it's DIN, Dine Brands. It's got Applebee. It's also got Olive Garden and a few others. I think that's the one. Or no, it's DIN. They have Applebee's and IHOP. Yeah, maybe I'll look at buying puts on this too. Jeez.
Sorry, do we talk about NVIDIA's raise yet or not?
Yeah, I'm just seeing a bunch of posts on Reddit about that. It's fucking hilarious.
It's $10 billion or 40% of their profit, I think.
And we're gonna institute a buyback, so it sounds like, oh my god, that's financial engineering for you. That's so sick.
Wait. They're raising money to do a stock buyback?
No, they had announced was a $15 billion buyback as part of their like earnings or whatever. But they just filed an S3 for $10 billion of potential equity issuance. So, like, you take from one pocket and put in the other. Mostly the CFO's pocket, I think.
Well, actually, it'd probably be the banks or whoever is, managing the deal. But they'll probably get paid a hefty amount. But this is a mixed shelf offering, so that means that there's going to be some debt in there. And so I don't think it's known how much of the 10 billion is like equity, how much is debt. And so, I mean, maybe it's like almost entirely debt. And then they're just in the nice position of taking out debt to buy back shares. And, who wouldn't want to invest in a company that does that?
I mean, what's the hurdle rate for making that make sense with the current borrowing costs? They've got to be in excess of the federal funds rate, right? So you're talking 5, 6, 7, 8% on corporate bonds.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid. We're going to borrow money when interest rates are the highest they've been in like a decade.
If you look in my profile, I got a post about NVIDIA insider selling.
Maybe they're doing it now so that way they can apply for the CHIPS Act. There's a provision in the CHIPS Act that basically
NVIDIA's
bans... What? Well, they're out. What do you mean?
Yeah, they don't qualify. Neither does AMD, even though Lisa Su was like part of the author.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. I just know that there's part of the CHIPS Act that bans stock buybacks. I don't know if you guys all saw that, but if you take CHIPS Act money you can't do a stock buyback while that's out there.
Is that called the Intel clause?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I wanted to talk about. I entered in my first bullish position in Intel. I said that I would reevaluate in March, and the news came out yesterday of the qualifications that they're looking for candidates who are eligible for the CHIPS Act money. A couple of names that they were throwing down was Intel, of course, Samsung, IBM, Micron. So this first wave, $39 billion, looks like it's going to go to and TSMC, of course. This first wave of $39 billion is going to go to the manufacturing of chips, which loops in Intel and TSMC.
What about Global Foundries?
I think I saw Global Foundries on some article, but not the article that was really well written. So yeah, I bought call options expiring at the end of this month, and we'll see how they go. I want to roll them into shares and start hoping that Intel pulls a reverse Uno card and just starts climbing up. So you got to remember that the CHIPS Act is for two things: for national security and for developing leading edge chips. TSMC will have close to that, but I think Intel is the one who wants to edge them out with even like the most advanced chips. So they're actually a prime candidate with all the other stuff. There's some things about IBM, but IBM shouldn't be getting any of this money first because they don't have any facilities that they're actively building right now. Which is weird because the IBM CEO was also one of the ones who drafted the CHIPS Act, him and Lisa Su. So it's kind of weird that they're not eligible. Or they like, just watch it. I'm just watching it because I'm sure that there's some sort of shoehorned benefit to their companies. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, for NVIDIA and AMD to apply for the CHIPS Act, at least for this manufacturing round, seems a bit insane because those companies are design firms, and for them to try to diversify into manufacturing and then to try to get to the level of like TSMC, which is, I think, what anyone needs to try to do to be competitive, it seems like a fool's errand. I mean, these design firms did well because they did not do that, and Intel tried to and is sucking wind because of it. And yeah, I mean, Samsung's just Samsung. It's big enough, I suppose, but
yeah, this is what makes Intel like the perfect candidate, though.
Right.
Because another clause in there, I forgot to state, another clause in there is that you have to show that you need the money. So if you're struggling, then you get to the front of the line. So.
Yeah. So what do you think about the fact that Intel's on x86 and is primarily a CISC architecture, and then you've got like ARM and Alpha Silicon, which are RISC architectures, and they're fundamentally, I think, poised for continued power efficiency for speed, where CISC maybe not so much. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that they're building 4 foundries so that they can take designs from other people and make it for them. So it doesn't necessarily matter like Intel's past. If they can make these super high speed chips, everybody's going to want to go to them. Whether it's Apple, NVIDIA, AMD.
So do you think they'll try to shift over to a RISC architecture, or do you think they'll stay on CISC?
I don't know. I think they're going to just make whatever. They're going to do it like TSMC. They get the order, they get the designs, they make it. And then they send it out to the smaller electronic companies trying to compete, who don't have fabs.
Gotcha. So you're actually less concerned with their design element. like you might not even care that Intel might pump out its own chips. You're thinking more around like them producing, say, ARM chips for Qualcomm or something like that. Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
Like Nvidia was working with Samsung, then they jumped to TSMC. And when Intel gets their fabs up and running and they're like leading edge and they have all this government funding and all that stuff, then people are going to start jumping over to Intel and having them fabricate designs.
Would you support a split of Intel into a fabrication company and a design company?
It practically already is.
This is interesting. Okay.
I'm hella sick, and I'm just gonna chill out now.
Yeah. No. Thanks, man. Be well.
How is Netflix doing?
Some people asking about Google in the chat.
Google might be a good candidate now, especially in the wake of their Bard bungle. Was it Bumbling Bard?
Yes, they could. They have good relationships with defense, national defense.
What does that have to do with anything? This is Google, right?
Yeah. So they might be benefiting from the CHIPS Act.
Has anyone seen any analysts cut ratings on Google yet, or is it still pretty ubiquitously loved? That would be, for me, that would be the tell to step in.
You know, it's a green day. Why is everyone so quiet?
No one has money to trade.
Oh, I forgot to give my thesis on my Lucid call. I rarely have a thesis when it comes to Tard astrology plays, but this Lucid call is entirely because AT&T announced their partnership with Lucid for their telecommunications devices in their cars. So I'm very bullish on Lucid because of this. They're in an exclusive partnership with AT&T. The ticker for that is T, and then the ticker for Lucid is LCID.
So we have a horrible electric car company teaming up with a horrible telecoms company.
You may say that. I believe the opposite.
So do you have to go with AT&T on that, or can you, like, if you're a T-Mobile or
Well,
if
to
you're
be
Verizon.
honest, I think it's kismet because I have AT&T, so it doesn't even fucking matter. But yeah, I think you might be able to connect other devices easily, but just not as fluidly with the AT&T thing. Like, I think it's going to make connectivity easier, so that way you don't even have to pick up your phone or look at it or place it in any specific, that you can just leave it in your pocket and then it'll just automatically connect it like Bluetooth or some shit. I don't know.
Isn't that how like every car already works though? That has Bluetooth.
Well, yeah, but there's always connectivity issues, and they're trying to work a way around that.
Wasn't that some gimmick of Tesla like 10 years ago to promise free Wi-Fi for life if you bought a Tesla? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
So is Lucid
I
trying to follow
remember that one.
Same footsteps?
I mean, unless you can basically have your car as your second phone, and that way, if you accidentally leave your phone in the house, you can just use your car for everything. Don't see how that's any significant thing.
Well, they're thinking about possibly turning it into like one of the watches, so that way it's got its own transmitter and all that shit, so you don't even need to bring your phone at that point. It'll sense that you're out on the road and you're in your car, and it'll direct the call to the vehicle. Or the text or whatever the fuck to the vehicle.
It'd be real awkward when someone's grandma calls the car after someone stole it.
Yeah, that would be pretty awkward. Hi, Grandma. I just stole your son's car. I hope you don't mind. It's a Lucid Sapphire. I always wanted to drive one of these. Tell him I said thank you.
Are you eating well?
Yes, Grandma. Thank you for checking up on me, but I'm not your grandson. Think again.
That's awesome.
That's a weird sort of role play.
Called me the other day.
Thank you for the role play Latter Day Unmasked. What other plays do we have to share?
Besides Lucid potentially having phones in that.
Okay, might as well go to the other one. I got $2 calls on Sundial. They were $8, so yeah, there we go. $2 calls on Sundial for weeklies. Anyone else got plays?
I'm gonna try and pick up some Google today. I've got a limit order set, so let's see what happens.
So with Sundial, is there any catalyst for any of the weed stocks? Any possible catalyst coming up at all?
Well, for Sundial specifically, it's nothing other than, them turning around their profitability. That's basically it. It doesn't have to do with any like catalysts other than, them actually becoming profitable. Other than like the other weed stocks, I don't know about their shit and whether they're actually becoming profitable or not, but Sundial is making strides towards that profitability. So I'm bullish on Sundial for that reason. They're going against the grain. They don't necessarily need weed to be legalized to become profitable because they're on the way. But if it does get legalized, then their profitability is going to soar even further than it would have. So that's just my 2 cents on Sundial. I'm following it personally, just it, because I believe in it so thoroughly. I honestly believe that due to the Alcana acquisition, they've set themselves up as the first foot in the door in any foreign market. They're going to be the first foot in the door if America ever does legalize it. But that's it. It's based solely on that.
Ooh, this is going to be a slow morning.
So I did make a play yesterday. I picked up some what are these Honeywell calls, $200 Honeywell calls for 6 months out. I've had good success over the past probably, I don't know, 6-12 months trading around these levels using calls. I end up, ripping it off after maybe 40% profit or something like that. But Honeywell seems to behave pretty well around the $180 to $190 range. And, you can exit the trade around 200, maybe 205, 210. And it's been pretty successful for me. So I picked up a contract and I'll add a couple more. But right now I'm up a little bit, so I'll just let it ride.
Going back to the restaurants, what do we think about Red Robin?
Go down, could go up.
They just recently got upgraded.
Nobody wants to talk about defense stocks.
What did you want to share?
Just wondering what the news is. If anybody's heard any developments.
Did anyone talk about the bullish news for Ford and Blink?
Go ahead and hit us with the latter day.
All right, so the Postal Service is buying 9,250 electric vans from Ford and 14,000 charging stations from Blink. Both contracts, the total value is about $260 million. So that's kind of a drop in the bucket for Ford, but for Blink, that could be a bit more substantial. So Ford, their ticker is F, and then Blink, their ticker is BLNK, Bravo Lima November Kilo. So there could be some potential upside there. The big thing for Ford is that's probably just an initial purchase. You might see some more selling down the down the road, so that could be long-term bullish for Ford on their EV side.
Does that van use the same battery platform as the F-150 Lightning?
I didn't get a chance to read the article too well since I'm currently driving, and I was desperate to find something for us to talk about.
We can always bring up some folks from the audience. So, Tricky, what did you have to share with us? Or not your average monkey. Perhaps you have something to share.
Good morning, Hardy. Yeah. To Slut's comment earlier, I am a fan of the defense stocks. I just put it in the chat. I like NOC and Raytheon. I think with the growing, you're going to see a bigger tit for tat, I think, in government actions, both on the U.S. and China side going forward. So I would be bullish on that. Even with the run they had last year, there's been some pullbacks, especially on Northrop Grumman. I would be bullish on it. Did you guys talk about NVIDIA's stock offering that they did? It's barely moving the share price.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I'm also surprised the share price is not moving that much. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, and I was looking at it last night. I mean, it's a large, what was $10 billion that they're going to do. I don't know if this is not a mathematical, obviously, transaction, but I'm just wondering if everyone thinking that the AI is still going to pump it up, even with this, is it becoming one of those story stocks where it's really starting to get decoupled from the fundamentals more so than it ever has? So that scares me, is my point. In the share price, I think it may be becoming artificially inflated. Hopium. Well, it is quiet today, isn't it?
Well, if nobody got in place, I can share some info with you guys, and you can do whatever you want. It's about international flavors and fragrances. The ticker is IFF. A couple of years ago, they merged with DuPont, and since that time, they're trying to get their shit together. And recently in December, they announced that they're going to lay off some people, but there was no exact date or time period. I'm sorry. Exact time period and when that's going to happen.
Sir, I think you walked away from your phone.
Alrighty, so can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, cool. So last year, as I was saying, in December, they did give out some info that they're going to lay off some people. And in the recent earnings, they got a pretty good beating. The stock is down pretty heavy. So here's the thing. I know a couple of people in the company, and they told me that the company is planning to lay off some people in March inside the US and probably in May in the other parts of the country. So maybe bullish for a short period. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, sir, friendly stories. We always love them.
Did we mention Novavax and the poor souls that own that shares?
I think the news has already played out on that one. Espal or Ape, do you guys have something to share?
You guys already talk about Retta?
Someone in the comments was talking about it. Perhaps you can elaborate for them.
FDA approved some drug, and their shit shot up like 180% in after hours last night.
I have a question or a potential play. Like, can I speak or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
What are people's thoughts on Palantir? Told that they have a big game with Ukraine. Hey, it's a fair question, right? I don't know.
I get the feeling a lot of apes here were burned by Palantir's dilution.
All right.
They did just turn their first profitable quarter, and they just downsized just by like 75 employees, not a lot.
And they gave back all those gains over the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it was very short-lived. Correct. So I'm kind of with Hardy, regardless if you've been burned or not. To me, at least, it's a company I don't trust, just because of what they have done to shareholders.
Okay, thank you.
I will say they do have a lot of nice government contracts.
Yeah, that's the problem. Where's the growth?
Well,
government
okay,
contracts government contracts imply that their current value imply that the current valuation includes the value of those government contracts. In order for the share price to go up, they need either revenue growth or expanding margins. The government's not going to let them expand their margins. They'll just lower the price according to whatever the contract terms were. So the only other way is to grow and get more customers or bigger government contracts. And I don't see either of those on the horizon for Palantir.
Well, apparently they have a growing private sector business that's aside from government contracts.
Yeah, that represents what? 15% of revenue and like 85% now of profit.
Okay.
My take on it. For those asking about Retta, sorry, was there anything else?
No, just thank you for that. Yeah, thanks.
So for those asking about Retta, basically what happened is they're developing some new treatment for some disease. FDA finally approved it as fit for sale, which basically means all that money from research and development can be recouped from the sale of the drug. And they have effectively, I think it's a 25 or 20-year exclusivity to produce, market, and sell the drug, which they can license away to other companies or use to get acquired. For those of you who are currently holding Retta shares or options, it's probably in your best interest to sell enough at the market open to cover your cost basis, or the amount of money dollars-wise you spent to enter the position.
I'd like to add on that. This drug only has like 5,000 U.S. patients. I don't see a huge profit margin here, so I would take profits.
Of those 5,000 patients, how much do you think they'd pay to be free of the disease or to receive this treatment?
Well, that's the problem, you know.
Because you have certain cancer treatments, for example, where the pharmaceutical company is charging $500,000 per treatment, and it's effectively $2.5 million for the course of treatment, and they're getting sales. So someone's paying. I don't know whom.
Yeah, I think I saw an article that said I think there's only like about 10,000 patients worldwide for that drug, though.
And it's probably time to get out of that trade.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hardy.
Then it's probably time to get out of that trade, unless you think it'll go even higher. But at a minimum, get your cost basis back. Excuse me, it's Reata. Reata Pharmaceuticals. Ticker Retta. Someone in the comments talking about the ticker TECK, T-E-C-K, that they're splitting into a metals mining and a coal mining company. So my suspicion is the coal mining side is going to be loaded up with debt and basically left to flounder, and the metal side will be left to flourish.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like the play there.
And the coal companies are also stuck with the land afterwards, so it's a big liability going forward with the groundwater. So that is, you're going to see that more often, I think.
Oh, the classic coal mining play. When there's cleanup to be done, leave it to the carcass of the company.
Basically, it's sort of like what happens with uncapped oil wells or gas wells.
Can't sell them, so yeah, try to get them off into a shell company or limit the liability.
So yesterday I had brought up the whole student loans, buy now, pay later, or firm stuff. I still don't fully have a play made yet, but I just wanted to bring up after digging in a little bit more. It looks like Affirm's user base is about 50% millennials and Gen Z, which is that group that would be hit by student loans returning. And like I said, they're far more likely to also use that buy now, pay later. It's like 41% of them have used it at some point versus 21% across just the general population. So just something I'm going to keep digging into, but I think they might see some people not paying back their loans as student loans come back into play. I think that might go more towards a buy now, pay later than a credit company.
That definitely sounds like puts on the firm then.
That's what I'm thinking. I want to wait until a little closer to June, and then I'll probably get those out till like December. And I still need to dig through some more, but the more I'm looking into it, the more it looks like they're heavily exposed to a younger generation.
Sorry, what do you mean by student loans returning?
In June, student loan repayments are restarting.
Okay.
So specifically, he's referring to that during COVID, there was a moratorium placed on student loan payments. And so another thing you'd want to look at is whether or not the Biden student loan forgiveness program, which could forgive between $10,000 and $20,000 worth of debt, goes through, because that would erase a debt for a lot of people. And if that doesn't go through, that means they're going to be saddled with that debt. If it does go through, that means fewer people, obviously, which would be less harmful to people like the firm if it does go through. But if it doesn't go through, definitely, absolutely, 100% puts on the firm.
Who eats that, the company or the government?
The government.
So if you're talking about the debt forgiveness, those are federal loans that the government's essentially saying you don't owe us. But again, even with that like $10,000 per person, there's still going to be a lot of student loan payments coming back up. And I do not believe that people are adjusting their spending accordingly. I think if anything, someone who lost a $400 monthly bill just started spending $400 a month on other things without a thought in their mind.
What do you think the chances are Biden extends it?
Biden doesn't get to
get the
decide
votes
that.
for 2024.
The Supreme Court is reviewing the case right now to see if he can even do that. To see if the president has the authority to forgive the loans.
Didn't the lower court block, and that's why it's up to the Supreme Court?
Correct.
I said this yesterday, but I like where you're going with this, Rad, because the people that are going to spend that extra money, they're going to go to this buy here, pay now ones because they don't do credit checks and they don't look at it. So they're going to let them get overextended. So I'm following this closely with you. I like it.
Yeah, I still think used car lenders are the way to play this on the short side. I feel like a lot of people bought cars that they're not going to be able to afford because of student loans and otherwise as well.
Have you seen Carvana? I think that trade's done.
I looked into the car side of it. The only issue I had was people kind of need their car. Like, I get that you can get behind on payments, but like at the end of the day, you have to get yourself to work to pay your bills. So I was skeptical on that notion that people were just going to all lose their cars.
And they're not going to take out your student loan payment when they do the credit underwriting either. So I think it's going to be, again, harder for people to get overextended in that way. I'm not saying people aren't taking loans they shouldn't, and I'm not saying they won't issue them, but I think it's harder for them to, just completely go nuts and buy the $1,000 a month pickup.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like the used car market's going through a little bit of what the '08 crisis with the mortgage-backed security. Maybe not the mortgage-backed securities, but the freewheeling lending for home buying. I think that's sort of cycling its way through used cars.
I think predatory. I was going to say predatory lending, those 30% interest, those buy here, pay here. That's always been around. So I'm not saying people aren't using it. I just don't see there's not enough meat on that bone to play that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess I was not talking about predatory lending so much as just not being very tight on the qualification for lenders, for borrowers. Sorry. So, somebody might have a job and they might just claim it, and somebody might do a credit check, but they might let them pass anyway. I think the underwriting's a little bit loose in used cars. But
again,
I think we talked about this in the past. It was like Credit Acquisition Corp, Capital One, and one other guy. I think were like a few of the options that people could play there. But anyway, I'll leave it aside.
I think when it comes to car loans, like the real issue is how much more people are paying now overall. Like a couple of years ago, the average loan was like 60 months. Now it's 72 months, 84, even 96 at some point. I mean, if people start defaulting on that, then that's when the issue pops up.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to repo a car than it is to repo a house.
And again, they're doing income verifications even when it's a car loan, especially if it's a $50,000 loan. It's not like they're just like nodding, "Trust me, guy. Okay, here's a loan." And if it is those buy here, pay here's. I think that's why I keep going to it. They're the ones that will do shade and stuff like that. So, anyhow, what's going on, Scald? How you feeling, buddy? Market's almost open.
Oh yeah, I'm back here to take a look at things. Market is open now.
All right.
What's going on with Tesla? People don't seem that excited.
They have their meeting yet?
No,
Look
but
at Netflix. Look at that. Look at that Netflix right there.
Duolingo's up 13 off earnings.
I just looked. Tesla's event is at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. I wasn't ignoring who asked. Tesla's already run up 90% this year, so I think a lot of that's priced in. We talked about that yesterday, the investor day, so maybe why you're not seeing a lot of movement in today's open.
Yeah, I wasn't here yesterday.
Sorry, no one keeps attendance.
Alibaba opening up 5%.
Yeah, I was averaging into my JD calls, so I like today. Today's a good day.
AMC's taking a nice hit. Anybody have any thoughts on the Salesforce earnings tonight?
Do you
Is
have
it
any
going to be
thoughts?
presented by Matthew McConaughey? Is he going to be presenting it?
All right.
I don't know if everybody saw that, where they're paying him $10 million a year to be a creative input or something like that. I don't even know what the hell that means.
Bongo's in the next commercial. I think he may have actually already done that, but it sounds like no one really has a strong opinion, just jokes. Sorry.
On
Well,
Salesforce?
the way I'm looking at it is every tech company has been just going crazy off earnings. Nvidia, Duolingo, Zoom. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna buy some calls at closing.
Damn, look at Root Insurance. Just zoom out on that puppy. It looks like the decay on the VIX. Ridiculous. Just look at the all-time chart for Root. Stupid.
I can tell you guys, if you've never tried that app, oh my god, it is so stupid. You have to use it for 30 days to track your driving habits, and then at the end of the 30 days, I had basically a perfect score. And the insurance rate it quoted me, which they promised, oh my god, we're so much lower than all the others. It was like $2 of a lower premium than what I already had. So it's basically not. It's a garbage company.
So it didn't get to the root of the problem, is what you're telling us?
Oh,
Yes.
dude. So I was shorting Root for like all of 2021, and then in 2022, I was like, I brought it up here, and I was like, I don't know if it's still a play anymore. I've been buying puts on it month over month, year over year. Sometimes I've even bought weekly puts, and they've always come out ahead. And everyone was like, oh, I don't know if there's any meat on the bone left. And that was when its market cap was $600 million. Currently at a $73 million market cap. It went down another 85%. It was down 85%, and it went down another 85% since I said that like a year ago on one of these chats. It's going to zero. And
I'm sure the
rightfully so. They're
I'm sure the
fucking idiots.
IV's crazy high. Are you able to make money on those puts, or?
I ended up not buying puts or anything on it last year because everybody was like, "There's not enough meat left on the bones," and I was like, "Okay," but it just kept going down. They did a reverse stock split to get it back. They were down to like 80 cents or something. They reverse split up to $12 a share, and now they've bled all the way back down to $5 a share.
Well, at this point, maybe buy calls in case the short squeeze crowd gets on it.
Oh no, there's nothing here to squeeze. They're losing money.
So speaking of squeeze, did Novavax actually declare that bankruptcy was on the table? Because as we know, that's the most bullish thing a company can do for the short term.
They didn't say the B word, but they said they had problems with problems after a year to be a going concern, which is...
Isn't that just corporate talk for bankruptcy?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I was like, what kind of corporate speak is that? I'd go pull up the article. I'm like, that's. I thought they miswrote the headline, but I'm like, no, that's really what they said.
All right, so calls it is. It's going to do a 200% return in the next couple days. Got it.
They said they had cash for about 1 year, and the big thing is for their 2023 fall push for the vaccine, and that's kind of like their do or die moment. So if anyone's timing the calls, as Rad has pointed out or puts, that is what I did a little more reading.
I mean, is anybody doing that shit? I'm not getting a yearly COVID vax. Fuck that. I mean, no offense to anyone who is, but
Well, it's
who's
that
gonna
and the
do that?
government. It's both that and the government not subsidizing it anymore too. So that's even going to further people not getting it. To your point.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, I think for Novavax in particular, they had a big deal with India that was supposed to be where their money was going to come from, but then it turned out that the majority of that money actually went to like a secondary supplier in India, so they weren't even actually getting a ton of what was their biggest deal, right? I feel like that was what their big flaw was.
I don't know about that. Sorry.
It doesn't matter. They're dead.
Yeah, no, again, yeah. The important thing is what they said yesterday. That is the most up-to-date information. They literally said, yeah, as a going concern. Yeah, I'm going to write that one down. I like that.
And some of the CDC results that are coming out, they're saying that there was no noticeable difference in the mortality rate from people that had the vaccine and people that didn't. So there's like almost no purpose to the vaccine anymore.
All of them, or
it was just a
Novavax specifically?
I'm not sure if it was that one specifically, but it was just a like the research that they're doing post-COVID is that they're looking at the numbers of the mortality rates from COVID and before and
I'm
after.
sorry,
the
I'm
vaccine.
going to ask because this is important. Whose research and
CDC.
Okay, I'm
I'll see
curious.
if I can find.
Well,
I literally
it
just had
has
this
been.
conversation.
Yeah,
I'll see
it
if I
has
can
been
find
getting less lethal and more infectious, right? Which is a pretty common path for an illness to take. So
I'll
I
see if I
mean,
can
it
find
makes
it.
sense.
Thank you.
That, yeah.
Sorry, Tucker Muse called, but I was just thinking genome. But no, I agree with you. It is becoming. You're right. Any pathogen usually becomes more easy to get, but less deadly. So, did the vaccine help with that? Probably not.
So I could see where, like, now maybe it doesn't matter quite as much, right? But I would imagine that they would still give it to elderly people, right? Because I mean, it just fucks their whole world up if you're like elderly and you get a respiratory illness, be it the flu or COVID or just regular pneumonia. You're going to have a really bad time if you're over 65 and you get a respiratory illness. It's not good.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, if you have pre-existing conditions that compromise your immune system, obviously you want to take whatever measures you see fit.
It really didn't move the price yesterday, if anything, down. But I know they just recommended the RSV vaccine for elderly patients because of that respiratory risk. But again, how many shots are people going to really start taking?
You don't
Has
got
anyone?
the media suppressing all the information anymore either.
Has anyone in the U.S. had availability of the Novavax vaccine in their area?
Yeah, I'm sure they're around, man.
You can try because I never found it anywhere. And you can go to the website. It's hard to find where it even was. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah, I got Pfizer. I mean, everybody here I know either got Pfizer or Moderna. I got the Pfizer one.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically Novavax.
I think Novavax was targeted international, or their plan was to do a much more international target, though. I don't think the U.S. market was their plan. They kind of left that to the Pfizers and Modernas and acknowledged that that wasn't going to be them.
Oh, well, okay. I read articles where there was supposed to be in the U.S. Anyway, thanks so much.
I'm sure they had planned availability, but if I remember, I think their big push was that they were going to focus on the international markets. and that they were going to be like the source for like in India and Brazil and places like that.
Yeah, something seemed a little underhanded about that whole thing with Novavax and the others. All right.
I mean, take this one step further. Moderna's only other drug is their mRNA cancer vaccine, which is still going to be a few years out. So are they the next one that's not going to have enough cash on hand?
They made so much fucking money in 2020. I can't see them running out.
It's true, but past that, they don't. I mean, they have some other ones in development, but the next closest, or really the only other thing they have, is that, and that's maybe years out. And from what I understand, it's hard with the mRNA to stop a lot of other diseases. You know, this was a breakthrough with the vaccine on COVID, but when you're talking about other other more morbidities, if you will, not as much success. So
do we just buy puts on? Hi, free range human. Welcome up. What do you got for us today?
Well, I was just going to say, like, the RSV vaccine, and one of the reasons why it's you can't really compare it as much to, like, the Moderna and all of that, like the COVID vaccines. So RSV is actually, like, it's lethal to preterm babies. Like, it has a very, very high mortality rate. And I think it's like 11 or 12% of babies born in the United States are born prematurely. So that's a lot of vaccines that are going to go out. So don't just write that one off. It's going to be a big, big deal for Pfizer.
Did you guys see the video where they had that Pfizer executive talking about the gain of function research?
No, but RSV, even for older kiddos, is pretty rough. So I could see it definitely selling. I have some friends whose kids ended up in the hospital, and they were like 2 and 3 year old, right? I mean, they were not infants; they were like toddlers, and they still got that RSV, and they got pretty darn sick. So I could definitely see that one being popular.
Yeah, my babies were all born super, super early, so I kind of follow, like, you know, a lot of the research that comes out on, like, preterm births and all of that. But yeah, RSV, that's a big one for preterm babies. And how many babies are born early in this country is, like, staggering. And I can almost guarantee that parents, doctors, insurance companies, all of them are going to want those babies vaccinated against RSV.
hey, thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that.
Welcome back, Hardy. How's it going?
I'm doing okay. A lot more theta. I got my theta vig for the day. Working out quite nicely.
Very nice.
Duolingo 15% now.
Does anyone have an opinion on, let's see, what is this ticker that I've been watching for a little bit? It's called Apps Digital Turbine, APPS. What do we think of it?
I just saw that some big investment firm is pulling out ESG financing stocks. I'm not sure which one. Let me do a little bit of Googling and get back at you.
Yeah, I think ESG plays might be dead. That was the buzzword of 2021. I think it died with that bull market.
What are you talking? And then there's now the AI powered wings at Wingstop. No, that's next.
Oh my God, that's the one thing that might make Root Insurance pump. They'll be like, it's an AI insurance company. And I'm like, yeah, but that's retarded. And people will still invest in it.
It's the new adding a .com to your name, right?
Yeah, investment giant Vanguard pulls out of net zero ESG initiative. Company faces growing pressure from Republicans over environmental focus.
I'm leaving. You said you got.
I mean, some of the companies were like Exxon and some of the original ESG funds. So the barometer for it was made up.
Always was. It was just a hot thing to try to get millennials to invest. They wanted those millennials to invest in stocks, and you know what? Millennials are too poor to invest in stocks.
Little did they know, it was actually a small video game retailer that would get millennials to invest in stocks.
That's right.
Hell yeah, buddy. Hell yeah.
They thought it would be social stuff. No, sir. It's about video game stores.
Have you been on the message boards?
Yeah, you fuck with our video games, we're gonna fuck back.
I was thinking about that article I read the other day that was like, speaking of millennials, where it said that like half of women under the age of 30 were not listed as single, but like over half of men. And then I realized that like technically my wife's 29, and so I'm contributing to that statistic by being old and dating her, right? Well, married to her. I was like, oh my God, that's what's happening. All these girls in their 20s are dating guys in their 30s. Sucks to be a guy in your 20s.
So puts on Church and Dwight, the manufacturer of Trojans, right?
Right.
Calls on Ricks. That's what I got from that. Calls on Ricks.
I mean, right. How else are you going to meet somebody? You're going to have to go to the strip club. If you talk to them in real life, they're just going to refer you to their OnlyFans page. That's not good. Might as well go to the strip club.
Have you guys seen the Hims and Hers stock? It's up 130% this year.
Hims and Hers. What is this?
HIMS. They sell like sex toys and shit, I think.
No, they sell erectile dysfunction pills, hair loss, all the embarrassing things that people don't want to go to the doctor for. So they were one of the first ones to have the online ordering, and you just video chat with someone, and they'll send you pills for your dysfunction.
You're right.
What is this company asking for a friend?
Hims and Hers. They had reportings a couple days ago, and they blew it out of the water.
Thanks for the heads up. I'm gonna research for stock purposes.
That definitely falls into the younger ladies dating older men category.
They have stuff for ladies too, no?
I mean, Scald said 30-year-olds. He didn't say they were dating like 65-year-olds now.
Oh, you're never too young to use Viagra, my friend.
Look, guys, puts on hairlines because bald dudes are hot.
Puts on hairlines? Oh, okay.
I guess I'm gonna be an incel now.
I will keep my shaggy top. Thank you very much.
Someone in the comments asking about Wonder Trust. Did we already discuss this?
I don't think so.
Go for it.
The premise is that if you employed someone throughout COVID, you receive, I think, $26,000 per employee or some amount of money. But first, you had to have employed someone throughout COVID, and also, to my knowledge, the actual grant is on the order of $35K. So you're effectively paying Wonder Trust $9K per grant application, when you could probably just do it yourself for way cheaper.
What if I employed myself throughout COVID? Does
You're the
that
business
count?
owner. It doesn't work that way.
Oh, damn it.
They ain't make enough off the PPP loans?
I don't think he qualified for them.
Who, me? PPP?
My PPP
Oh,
loan was
buddy.
only like $12K.
Oh, well, without trying to dox too much, not only did I apply for one, but I knew one of the economists that was working for the government doing the approvals of them. So it worked out.
Tom Brady.
I got like $40K in unemployment.
Oh, no, the stories this person told me, they were like, Jim, we're just having to go after the most heinous people, like the people that literally bought Lambos with it. I was like, holy shit.
I mean, when the bar is that low.
Yeah. And they had their total staff in that office was 18 people. Do you know how many people applied for PPP loans? Like, holy shit. How are you going to, like, police that? It's not possible to, like, do it, right?
The government was understaffed on something? I don't know. That doesn't track.
Oh, it's entirely possible. They're overstaffed in one department, understaffed in another? Absolutely possible.
Oh, I was being sarcastic, Artie. I'm sorry. I know I'm not good at it.
I don't pick it up well either.
No, it's me. I gotta really work on my inflections.
It's very dry. I like it. I get it.
I could read the sarcasm.
And that company brought up, I know they're doing like the ambulance chaser commercials, as I call them, on cable right now to help you get that 25,000 or the 26. Like you said, they're scalping you 9,000. And not to get too far in the weeds here, but the whole $1,200 check and $2,000 check or whatever caused inflation. Come on, look at PPP. How much free money was that? I mean, really? Come on.
Someone asking for the forecast of the SPY ticker. Could go down, could go up. Someone else asking the best mobile platform to work with when in stocks. There isn't one. Get a computer. And I mean it.
Oh, I love that advice, Hardy, because I have heard people on here talk about a ticker, and you can tell they're on a mobile app because they don't see the whole ticker. They don't even know what they're buying. Like, that shit scares me.
Well,
go ahead.
Part of the other trouble is that I also trade derivatives more than I do single shares. So being able to see the wide options chain with all the Greeks, very important to me. And as big as my 6.5-inch phone is, it's not big enough.
That's what she said.
There you go.
So I'll bring up a company to help move this along. I brought them up the last time they were at this price, which is the little miner TMQ Trilogy Metals. For those who came in, we bought this at 55 and rode it to 70 cents last time, and they're pretty much back to 55 cents. they're just waiting on road permits, and they're kind of stuck in it. But they'll, this is pretty low for them, even with their situation. So if you're looking to ride that train again, now's not a bad time to climb aboard.
What was that ticker again, Rad?
TMQ.
TMQ, got it.
Yeah, it was called. You wrote it to like 70 cents and then said goodbye.
Yeah, no, I did that before. Yeah. And I'm
What'd
gonna
you say about roads?
probably do it again.
Yeah, so they had road permits under the Trump administration. They lost it under the Biden administration, and now it's getting reevaluated and potentially reissued. So stock took a big hit, but at 55 cents, I think for the mineral patch they're sitting on, it's too low, even with the questions around whether or not they'll get the infrastructure build out.
And that's to their mines?
That's to their potential mine, yeah. They've got everything else permitted. They're in Alaska, and they just need the roads to run up to their location in Alaska. The long story short was they had it approved, and then some of the locals who lived along the potential road build path, and along is a very generous distance in this sentence, but anyway, essentially complained and were like, hey, this road is going to be annoying for us. I hunt in that area. And so the new administration's Department of Engineers essentially said, we're going to have to reevaluate this and make sure their concerns were properly heard.
I don't suppose anybody here is looking at puts on First Solar, ticker FSLR. I know it's a decent company, but the PE ratio is over 200, so it's pretty crazy.
A lot of the solar stocks have gotten really, really, really high, but then they keep having good earnings and going higher, so it's almost hard to bet against.
Yeah, that's what's happening today with First Solar. They reported some pretty decent earnings, I guess, yesterday.
Also, is that 200 forward PE or is that backwards PE?
Backwards. I'm not sure what the forward is.
Yeah, try to stick to the forward, because backwards PE can always get kind of messed up.
Okay, so I don't doubt you're correct, but with forward PE, companies just lie. I mean, they always tell you the best possible version of what they want you to hear, right? So why go off of that?
Because analysts are taking that guidance, discounting it by some series of factors, and then using that to drive their own version of forward PE.
Okay, so forward PE is kind of an average of what the analysts think.
Not always, but that's why you need to understand how to build these models yourself, or at least how to use them.
Okay, I will look into that. Thanks, guys. By the way, since it is so quiet, I will mention something that the student loan deferment thing, the student loan forgiveness thing keeps coming up, and I haven't heard anyone mention this. But based on my personal experience, it's actually quite easy to get a 6-month deferment on those loans. It's like not hard at all. So even if the government does say, "Oh, hey, you have to start making payments now," a shitload of people are just going to get deferments anyways. So just something to bear in mind. I haven't heard anyone else mention that, so I thought I would.
If anything, I see that as worse news because then they're just going to have 6 more months of interest accruing and even worse payments when they come back.
That's future them's problem. Nobody envies that person. Present them gets to live it up.
Yeah, in the insurance business, they have a term. It's called, you buy term and invest the rest. When it's really buy term and you go to dinner. Yeah, if you buy anything. I'm sorry, it's insurance humor. My bad.
I liked it.
You know what's one of the most ridiculous things is that, like, if you want to sue a government agency, you have to get permission to sue them, which is fucking hilarious.
That's not just the federal government. State governments are like that too.
Me taking an interesting nosedive this morning. What happened?
Hey Hardy, I wanted to say thank you. I'm still kind of in the beginning of doing options trades, but I picked out some of your cheaper plays that you posted today, and one of them's already up almost 47% this morning.
Congratulations. And welcome to Tendyland. The water's nice.
Well, 47% in the morning? Very nice.
It's an options contract, not a ticker.
Yeah, I know. That's a nice little return for any play.
Hey Hardy, do you usually do your plays like about 2 weeks out when you post them?
It depends entirely on the slope of theta and also the liquidity of the next month's expiration. Because keep in mind, the thesis is that I'm trading the reaction to specific price levels. If there's a reaction, great. If there's no reaction, I want to make sure theta doesn't burn me while I'm waiting for a reaction. Or rather, minimize the burning sensation.
Yeah, I think they have creams for that.
Is that gonorrhea?
If it's got menthol on it, it'll be cooling and burning.
why these crayons taste better. That's funny.
I mean, I am using crayons.
Crayons are safe to eat. I mean, I don't think they're nutritious, but you can totally eat them.
They also make amazing candles during a power outage.
Someone had mentioned Salesforce earlier while we've been talking. Activist investor Elliott nominated a slate of directors for the board. Jumped up. It's about 1.25% up now. So some positive news. Trying to get them to make some more money.
What do you do?
Basically, activist comes in and they will say, I have this slate of board directors, so they try to steer a company into a more profitable stage. Sometimes you have people at the company, for whatever reason, like the way things are being done. They need to shake it up with new management. So the markets a lot of times see that as a bullish sentiment. Let's someone come in here, pull some different levers, get this company to make more money than they have. Let's make them earn to their full potential, if that makes sense. It's not always wanted, and there's proxy fights. Nelson has done that with some other boards. He tried to do it earlier this year with Disney. They changed course. He pulled his complaints, if you will. So overall, I think it's usually a bullish factor to see an activist come in and say that.
Yeah, thanks. I've been eyeballing that one all week.
No, I just thought it was important because I knew you had asked about it earlier. So just another piece of information.
What's a Sharpe ratio?
Really?
Oh, I'll let you take that one, Hardy.
A Sharpe ratio is basically the riskiness of the return, or it's the risk adjusted relative to return. So a lot of people here on WallStreetBets post gain porn, but oftentimes because they took tremendous risk. So their Sharpe ratios are likely at 1 or lower. Generally speaking, Sharpe ratio above 2 qualifies for institutional funding. Sharpe ratio above 3 means you're a god on Wall Street. Sharpe ratio in the double digits, you're cheating. Somehow. It basically means the higher the Sharpe, in practical terms, the higher the Sharpe ratio, the higher your leverage can be because your risk of failure is that much smaller. But yeah, Googling the terms you don't understand in those wrinkle brain posts may add a couple more wrinkles.
Yeah, I'm on it.
just watching RETA. Definitely glad I decided to stay away from that one. Looks like it's starting to slowly bleed back down again.
And Hardy, to your question earlier about what moved the markets, the only other thing that I'm seeing is the global PMI numbers. U.S. manufacturing came out, and I have the headline here. It says softest decline in output for 3 months as supply chain conditions improved. But it says basically it was an overall decline. It's the only thing I can see newsworthiness of the broad drop.
Are you talking about manufacturing PMI?
Correct. Yeah, it was in the it was like 47 and change.
Yeah, my problem with that is they're only surveying 800 purchasing managers. I don't know if that's a large enough sample to be a representative number of people.
No, I see that, and I had to hunt for it too. It wasn't like it was on any banner of any news companies, so I agree with that. Less important, sorry.
Institute for Supply Management also released their number. It's close enough. I trust it even less, though, because they only surveyed 300 purchasing managers. I am curious to see what construction spending is going to be. I think that comes out. It actually came out already, didn't it? 10 o'clock? 0.1% down, according to the Census Bureau. Okay.
Maybe it's slowing. I mean, that could be good, right? For slowing down, that should be disinflationary, right?
In theory, yes. In practice, I'm not sure.
Nassim Taleb has said crypto transactions are limited to circular trading by crypto heads, financial onanism, and unskilled money launderers. Pretty bold words, and I'd like to remind everyone that Nassim Taleb lost his ass by buying Bitcoin at the top and selling it at the bottom like a true boss economist that he is.
You mean realized tax loss harvests that he intentionally did like a genius, don't you?
Yes, that's exactly right. No, firstly, Nassim Taleb is incredibly smart, but he did get badly burned on crypto, and I believe it has shaded his personal opinion of it. But I mean, fair. I would be pissed too. So
I was gonna say I think we've all been there, Scald, with a trade that we knew should have worked and that it didn't, and then we just sit there cursing it for the rest of eternity.
He'll have 3,000 to write off for the rest of his life, right? Every year.
Well, he just needs to make several million every year, and then he can cancel it out. He'll be good.
Kind of like Melvin Cap, right? And remember what happened to Mr. Plotkin?
Enlighten us, Hardy.
GameStop blew him up. Citadel tried to bail him out. I think his former boss, Cohen, also tried to bail him out. And ultimately they ended up closing shop.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was aware of that. I didn't know if there was more to the story that you were going to share.
I wonder, where is Gabe Plotkin today?
Would you say he was probably the most famous one who got burned on that? Or is there someone else that you know of, Hardy?
Not off the top of my head, but it looks like this guy's laying low. Nothing in the news on him.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to test you. I was just curious if you knew anyone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
A Jamaican Fire Dragon. Are you talking like number of contracts or number of different contracts? Because I sell a lot of options too.
Not just you. I love the back and forth and the jokes like, wait a minute, did you buy my option on this? I do like that, like market makers on the call. I'm sure you sold a few to some apes, Hardy.
I have no doubt. And I've made the mistake before of being greater than 50% of open interest.
Any names that we would know or no care to share? Just curious. No worries. Sorry, no, I didn't want to probe too much.
I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond during their 2 run-ups ago. I have no doubt some apes bought the contracts I was selling. Because they were the only ones who were hitting my ask.
Hardy, Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
I had intentionally priced the asks like 15% above market, and they still bought it. So there was no way that was rational buying.
This might be a stupid question, but when you sell contracts, do you delta hedge off of them, or do you have your own hedging system?
Yes, but it's portfolio based, so it's not always 1-to-1.
Okay.
It looks like he's the guy you're talking about a minute ago, Hardy. It looks like he's now the COO of a group that's doing ESG stuff. Yeah.
Very trustworthy.
Right. Let me see what it says. This company has assembled a team of experts in environmental science, engineering, public policy, data analysis, project development, and implementation. Over their careers, our staff have collectively developed carbon credit projects that have prevented the emission of 5.4 million tons of greenhouse gas.
At Trade Water.
Yep.
No, wrong Plotkin.
Oh, that's not him?
Yeah, he's no relation to Melvin Capital.
Oh, damn.
I've had interest in carbon credit companies, but they seem like the easiest thing to scam. Like, it just seems like so easy to have that be a paper company and be like, yeah, we totally are canceling out those carbon credits. Mm-hmm.
You should just open one, Rad. I mean, like,
they're probably gonna do like sell but not yet purchased.
I just see so many of those just being like, yeah, we have all these trees. They're over there. We own them. They're canceling out the carbon.
Like I said, you should just open a carbon credit company.
Step 1, buy a bunch of seeds from Home Depot. Step 2, claim each seed as a tree.
I mean, it could be a tree.
I mean, step 3, sell the same tree to 18 people.
Just point to the woods next to your... Make sure you open your business next to, like, a national park. And just kind of claim, like, look, all those trees, they're on our land.
Yeah, I can see them right now.
I say this jokingly, but I genuinely believe there are going to be companies like that for those carbon credit businesses.
Oh, there probably already are. What's the other scam? So we were talking about it earlier, where it's like, it's not even an EIN number. They get like a special number because they never turn a profit. It's like an RIN number or something like that. Like literally oil companies that don't produce oil can get this special number, and it gives them credit for not making oil. I was like, I'm also not making oil. Why am I not getting credit for not drilling?
Oh, I've heard about that. They switch from like gas to some sustainable petrol that they can make, and they get credits for it.
Yeah, the whole thing's really scammy, in my personal opinion.
Well, I know you know this, Skull. Here in Ohio, they just made natural gas green. So.
Technically, in Europe, you can have an ESG investment firm that includes natural gas companies for like pensions and stuff.
Well, and again, ExxonMobil, I think because they bought enough credits saying that they were going carbon free by blah 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 date, they were included in ESG. Like, really? Really?
Actually, I have to amend my statement. I think that starts in 2024. Is that natural gas can be included in those ESG pension funds for Europe?
And they probably have a little more stricter than what we're talking about. The fund companies and everyone else coming out with that fund.
That ESG stuff is real political. I remember they kicked Tesla off of it, and that was like crazy to me.
That was probably more around the government. If you look at the way that Elon acted, so I think that's tied to why they were kicked out.
I'll be honest, I only know ESG as far as it applies to mining companies, because that's where I spend most of my time. So I don't know if that hit Tesla because of the like lithium mines that they have.
Yeah, I think Pennsylvania declared coal to be green energy.
Only if you bury the carbon.
You put the coal back in the ground. That's funny.
Apparently, there's different kinds of coal, and some coal burns cleaner than other coal.
Correct. Yeah, there's bituminous and anthracite, right? So,
well, or layman's terms, there's steam or coke coal, which is made for power, and then there's metallurgic, which is what's made for using steel. So,
someone commissioned Frosty the Coal Man. It was I don't know if you can find it on YouTube, but basically it was meant to promote clean coal, whatever that meant.
Yeah, so the metallurgic's a lot more pure, if you will. Both are still dirty.
Metallurgic's a lot harder to replace as well. Coal for energy is replaceable. Metallurgic coal, even the steel companies that don't like it, are kind of stuck having to use it. It's very hard to replace and find alternative ways to melt steel.
What kind of coal is burning underground for the last like 40 or 50 years in Centralia, Pennsylvania?
That's steam coal, I'm pretty sure. Because usually metallurgic, again, sorry to jump in, Skull, that's my family's been in this business for a long time. Usually they're in smaller veins, so to have a whole town of it, I can pretty much say that's not metallurgic. They're usually a lot smaller.
Now, since we're talking about scam companies, can I say my favorite is all the ones saying that they're going to mine things out of the ocean? By far, my favorite scam companies that keep popping up. They're just going to send down undersea rovers and I guess just find all the gold nodes in the middle of the Pacific.
Well, like there's that one company that actually has, I mean, I don't know if they're successful, but they actually have rovers. Like they've built them and they have them currently going across the seafloor.
Are we talking about my current or my favorite underwater, all seas owned and backed company, TMC? Because if so, they're above $1 again, and all the fucking bears said, "Oh, they'd never get back above $1. They're gonna stay at 50 cents. They're getting delisted, and they're still here." So, yeah, TMC is the ticker. If you're looking for exactly what Reptile's talking about, TMC.
Oh yeah, these are the guys, and they had a full video of their little rovers moving around. Like, and they were actually real. It wasn't like simulated.
Oh no, they have. So I've had puts in that company since they were a SPAC as SOAC. I followed them for a long time. Yeah, they have rovers. You know what they don't have? An international body who can permit actual mining of underseas nodes. That's not forming for 2 years, so nobody even knows who can permit them to start their projects.
Well, I mean, if they're in international waters, can't they just mine them? I mean, if there's no one there to regulate it, just do what you want, right? Isn't that how it works, or no?
They had. I went through their presentation like a year and a half ago. It was amazing. They were like, by 2025, the regulatory board should be ready to approve us once they form. So, Mast, I hope you make a lot of money on that company, but I wrote them down from $10.
Oh
so
no,
they're
I
good in my
wasn't
book.
able to get in at 50 cents. Like that's when I went in back on TMC. Was back at like 55 cents, but I didn't get in on them. So I'm just interested looking at the ride all the way up because it rode up from like 50 cents to 75 cents in a total of like 5 trading days, and then it went up from there. So like I actually believe in TMC even more than I did initially now, because holy shit. If you're a scam and you're getting called out as a scam, but you revive yourself from the dead, how did you do so if you're a fucking scam? That's what I want to know.
I'm just disappointed that they're not just doing it until that regulatory body forms, you know? I mean, like, here in America, we, like, frack first and ask questions later. We're like, are these fracking operations causing earthquakes? I don't know. Why is the water able to be lit on fire? I don't know, right? But, like, we fracked first, right? And then we ask the questions later.
To my understanding, Skull, they can't. There is like something blocking them from actually going for those nodes in international water right now, even though there's not like an overseeing body. I think it's just there's nothing that can permit them to use them.
Well, I guess that's the question, right? Like, who exactly is going to punish them?
It's been a long time since I looked at the PowerPoint, but even they acknowledged like we have to wait for this commission to form and then approve us before we can like actually start doing stuff. It was, God bless them. They believed.
They're burning a lot of cash real fast.
And really, them coming out of, you said they were a SPAC, correct, Brad?
Started out as SOAC, Sustainable Operation Acquisition Corp.
So that was one of the problems with SPACs. It's not that they were lying, it's just within the financial statements, they were very clear that they may make money in 5 to 10 years, which doesn't usually fly with an IPO. And they can say whatever they want, to your point. A lot of hopium. And I think this is just another case of that, because you can look, you don't even need to tell me the date that it went from SPAC to regular one. You can just look at this chart when it went down, I'm guessing.
It went up first because, you know, that's the SPAC rule back then was it goes up for a bit. And then it was just like, I'm on a mission to $3 and below.
This Frosty the Coalman video is pretty good.
That sounds like a WWE wrestler. Speaking of which,
And it's Frosty the Coalman with a chair!
That is a company I'm actually kind of bullish on. I still think someone's going to buy up WWE at some point. I don't know who it's going to be, but that is such a good acquisition target for some streamer to add to their library.
It's been a long time since we brought that stock up. Anyone else bullish on it? I think it's a good conversation point. We haven't talked about it.
The fact that no one's beating down the door to WWE to buy them implies that the asking price is too high. Also, at some point they moved into the former UBS offices in Stamford, and those aren't cheap.
Well, is it that the price is too high, or is it because of, people filing lawsuits because Vince McMahon went crazy and was trying to do all kinds of stuff and that he probably shouldn't have been? So they might be waiting for that to tone down first.
Why would that be an issue? They buy the shares from him, it's no longer a problem.
And I have an article up here back from February 3rd, and the current CEO, Nick Khan, said that Vince would step away with selling of it. So it sounds like that has been discussed with potential buyers. Probably some feedback that people did receive out in the market.
I just can't believe wrestling is around 20 years later. I used to watch that shit when I was a kid in the 90s.
It's like 40 years old. If you really go back.
I mean, it's got a very passionate audience. They still sell out major arenas when they show up in cities. So, it's not for everybody, but they're not lacking a fan base.
If everyone could please just take a moment of silence and say a prayer for my Tesla puts today, I would appreciate that.
Did you perform your meteor summoning ritual yet, or are you going to hold off on that?
Last night, I was in the hot tub, and I said a few prayers, sacrificed a chicken and a goat, and we'll see what happens.
Did you sacrifice your in-laws?
What'd you say?
Did you sacrifice your in-laws?
Oh no, they're in New Jersey. I try to stay away from that.
So what you got
That
to
might
do
be
is
the missing ingredient.
What you got to do is buy a Tesla, set it to full self-driving, point it at whatever building he's holding that meeting, put a brick on the gas pedal, and then walk away. In a video game.
Yeah, no, I had a Model X. I'm not going down that road again. I don't have confidence that it would actually hit him.
Oh, I just wanted it to go through the building, not the person.
In the game.
In the game. Could you imagine in the middle of a round of Grand Theft Auto, the car just crashes through it is on the middle of stage next to the broken glass that he threw a rock through that cannot break? It'd be beautiful.
I mean, he's been on a run lately with these tweets, man. I mean, he's tweeting at like the frequency of Trump back in the heyday, and China seems to be getting a little perturbed by it, especially with the whole COVID thing.
I don't think we talked about that earlier, but I think that in the kind of escalation of things, yeah, that speaks to some of our tensions, and Yeah, they did actually. He has been kind of not quiet, but I think the news coverage of his tweets have been quieter in the last 4 weeks. But yeah, this week has not been good.
Yeah,
I
so
liked his tweet about based AI. That was a pretty funny meme. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I
And
hope he creates.
terrifying.
I hope he creates a non-based AI. I want him so badly to release an unfiltered AI out there and just see why they stopped doing that in 2016.
Oh, well, that was called Microsoft's Tay, right?
Went from "Good morning, how are you" to "Hitler did nothing wrong" in like 6 hours.
That's correct. Yes, it's pretty bad.
And then there wasn't there the two AIs that they wanted to, the chatbots they wanted to talk to each other.
I'm not
Yeah.
joking. I really want Elon to release a completely unregulated, just AI that could just do whatever and just see how quickly that devolves and why you can't have it like that.
Yeah, those two robots that were talking to each other turned dark pretty fast.
Yeah, what I'm really surprised
They
is
created their own
that
secret language and didn't tell them about it.
I'm really surprised that our own little AI here, the visual mod AI on WallStreetBets, doesn't call people retards more often. So I assume opinion and stuff have somehow filtered its ability to do that.
Not to jump in, but he's been a little mouthy. I saw try to send him to his room the other night, and he said no. I mean, it was bad. He talks about poor people, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, dude, no joke. I noticed that, like, when I first started making posts, like, I've been lurking around for a while, but then I only started making posts, like, somewhat recently. And initially, he was, like, somewhat friendly. The last one that I made, I was like, this dude, his comments were harsher than anything I got from the actual people.
This goes to show you. Just goes to show you how crowdsourcing can be a positive or a negative.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've seen people post a couple of them as of late. Yeah, I mean, it's like something that it sounds like a George Carlin skit, like it's a 5-minute insult,
Oh my god, what the heck is this tweet from February 25th about mouse traps? What the heck, Elon?
He's making content.
Yes, but Jesus.
Dude, some of his stuff is like actually funny, but the majority of it is like he's just bored. But then some of the stuff he says, like, I don't know, like, maybe didn't the SEC like clear him on some stuff recently? I feel like he might be going on a run because of that.
Didn't he say like funding secured for $400 a share, and he almost got in a ton of trouble for that?
Correct. That was the case that just recently ended. So yeah, he has felt a little more free, Great.
An easier way of saying that, and it would have been a nod to one of the Reddit users that we have on here sometimes, he could have just tweeted 420 funding secured and then alluded that it was his weed money instead of what he was actually talking about.
I mean, he could also just not tweet things that could potentially be security violations, but yeah.
Well, where's the fun in that, though, Rad?
I mean, based on this February 25th tweet, he's now tweeting about furry mouse twinks, traps, whatever. I don't know the term. It's very disturbing.
Scald, I'm surprised you're not talking about the time he said he was going to paint his monitor.
Oh, God. I forgot about that. What do you call an infinite gear ratio? Was his most recent tweet 9 hours ago. Shouldn't he have been asleep 9 hours ago? What is wrong with this man? He should have been asleep 9 hours ago.
Sleep is for the pores.
How does he have the bandwidth to run like a space company, Twitter, and Tesla? I feel like he's got to be so overstretched.
Just drugs. Just drugs.
I don't care if he's got all the stimulants in the world. I can't believe he can devote as much attention as you would want someone like him to devote to any individual company, having all three of those to deal with.
It's not called bipolar rad if you can use stimulants to always keep you in a manic state. It's just called high energy.
That's spoken by somebody who's never done a line of meth off a clipboard before.
Because it was off of a desk and not a clipboard?
Bad move. Nasal absorption. Never mind. You'll get more bang for your buck by just swallowing it. Amphetamines, that is, not meth. In Minecraft.
I love the actual expertise of such things in video games on this chat.
Big gamers.
Power to the players.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, complete side subject, have you guys seen the professional gamers in like the E-leagues over in Korea and South Korea? I mean, dude, those guys are retired at like 30 playing video games.
We have events here in Columbus. We have one coming up. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing.
Oh, are you going to go to that at Hollywood Casino, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to one, but hell, even my daughter and I don't know if you can bring kids or not, but yeah, it's coming up in the spring.
They just they actually demolished part of the casino floor to put in an esports arena, which I thought was pretty dope. And I actually have a contract in place with them for the launch of my game that we're going to do it there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Try to make this vaguely play related. We'll see if I can do that. I'm trying. This has been a great conversation. I don't know, respect the concept. A lot of those professional gamers, quote unquote, get like crazy carpal tunnel and wrist issues. So you can always look into those medical companies because they get like really bad wrist issues. Like some of them have to wear those like medical wrist gloves all day long.
Icy hot is big with gamers. Icy hot is huge.
But not even like just icy hot, like actually like they can, like some of them like retire barely able to move their hands.
Well, icy hot, they make the wraps, the ones that you were talking about, like they make those medicated wraps, and that's why I brought them up.
But that actually is Penn Gaming is actually the casino that's here, the Hollywood Casino. So there is a play here too, Brad. If you want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was specifically talking about like the esports leagues over in Asia. I mean, it's massive over. It's like a religion over there. It's it's like their NFL. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the videos where they have like teams, a coach. They make them practice like 20 hours a day. Then they have to like get up every 2 hours and go jog around the building, eat certain food. Like they're very regulated, and it's. I mean, I'm sure there's a play to that in the future because I feel like that's only going to grow.
There's a whole Netflix documentary on it, I think.
South Korea is the only nation whose national sport got a sequel, so that's something to consider.
What about the drone racing leagues? I know I'm going on a tangent, but what the hell? Has anyone seen that stuff? That stuff's nutty to me.
Oh yeah, their ability to pilot those drones at that speed, I don't understand how they have such a fast reaction time. It's unreal. Well, but hey, New Zealand's national sport's rugby, and that's pretty much a sequel to soccer.
I mean, the same thing with like F1 drivers. Their reaction time is ridiculous, and if you pay attention to the younger kids that are coming up into that, for some reason their eyes are spaced like really wide apart. Like Lando Norris and a lot of these other kids, their eyes are like chameleons, and I guess that's got to have some advantage on like peripheral vision, maybe. Like I don't know.
Wow, that bro looks like he's half hammerhead shark. What is going on right now? His eyes are very wide set.
What was the name?
Lando Norris. His eyes are just sort of really Really wide. That's interesting.
But it's just like I was watching the Netflix documentary. Speaking of a play, I think their new documentary format for Full Swing, Breakpoint, and the F1 series is huge hit. I mean, I've got friends talking about F1 that don't give a flying, whatever about cars, and but I noticed that like you basically have to be the son of a billionaire to be a driver now, but the theme is like all the new kids coming in, their eyes are super wide apart. I feel like I'm the only one that picked up on this, but I don't know why.
I mean, if you had that power to pick out charts like that and who's going to be winners by what the charts look like on stocks, I'm telling you, you could have 64 cars,
Isn't F1 owned by that private Saudi investment fund at this point? Or like maybe not fully owned, but heavily invested in?
I know the Saudi prince owns a bridge in Chicago that has a toll, so every time you pay the $2 to cross it, it goes straight to Saudi Arabia.
I'll sell you part of the Brooklyn Bridge, which I invested in with my friend Charles Ponzi, and you get a cut of that.
Scald, can I trade you that piece for my beachfront property in Kansas?
Sounds like a even trade. We'll file a 1041 like-kind exchange on that, buddy, so that way we don't pay taxes.
Yeah, I mean, F1 is going to have a big expansion into the United States. Like, they're doing way more races in the United States in the upcoming years. So, I mean, it's definitely going to grow. We're actually going to the Vegas race in October, I think it is. That thing's going to be pretty sweet.
It's going to be competing with NASCAR, and it's always hard to change Americans off of their very, what do I want to say? Sports that they're very, very into. It's very hard to get Americans to like similar style sports, I guess is the best way to put that.
I thought crowd.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the E-League is pretty good.
Let me put it this way. When I went to look at Formula One tickets, I was surprised that they weren't in line with NASCAR pricing. And then I realized, oh, this is very different.
Yeah, the same crowd that loves NASCAR is that same crowd that loves WWE. They have a set limit to the size of that crowd.
I mean, NASCAR makes a lot of money, though. That crowd's pretty big.
Yeah, but something big coming up is Cadillac, I think, is getting into F1. So there's going to be an actual American team in F1 racing, and that could expand to Toyota, Honda. They're just going to follow the fan base, and I guess Netflix could do a documentary on NASCAR, but it just wouldn't be as interesting.
Well, Honda works with McLaren's race team.
So in F1, do you cheer for the driver?
F1.
In F1, do you cheer for the driver or for the car manufacturer?
You generally cheer for the car manufacturer, and you just hope they pick drivers that are worth a damn.
Some have favorites, some do, but some of that's national based. Some of it's. I know some women that watch it because they think the dude's hot, but I mean that's neither here nor there.
They think they're hot because they don't know how tall they are. Those guys are all horse jockeys. I mean, you have to be like maybe 5'4" and like 100 pounds to be competitive and that sort of stuff.
Just funny small world stuff. Scald, just I know not directly, but Team Rahal is based out of here in Columbus, Ohio, and I used to know one of the front tire changers, and I got to go see how they make the cars. Not quite F1, but Indy series. So saw how they build the engines. Got to walk around that a few years ago. That was cool.
When I worked at a car maker here, there was a guy that was on that team earlier that moved to a different job, but very similar.
Yeah, it's awesome facility. I mean, they basically build everything there but the tires. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's all like custom machined and stuff. Right? I mean, they got like a full, yeah, they got a full setup there.
I used to work at the Rouge plant for Ford in Detroit, and Henry Ford's old airplane runway they turned into a racetrack, and you could just sit there and watch them, and they're just ripping around like Ferraris and shit around the racetrack. It was crazy.
Yeah, SECA does that here too. I haven't seen it for a while, but Don Scott Airport is the OSU airport, and yeah, you go take your car out there. They let you do it too if you're a SECA member and used to autocross race. Yeah, my favorite part of going to the plant, if you will, seeing how they do it, was the rolls of carbon fiber. That stuff's so expensive, and to have like a roll of it before it's molded, I was like, this could fit in my trunk.
I just learned that there's like this stadium, like the it's called the Steve Jobs Theater on Apple's main campus. Apparently, the entire roof of that building is crafted from a single piece of carbon fiber, which makes the roof so light that it is structurally supported by the glass that surrounds it. Which was just crazy to me. Like, glass is a structural object. It's amazing. Some futuristic stuff right there.
Copper. Tesla's rebounding. I'm sorry, buddy.
I feel like today is going to be a day of excitement. Should I paper hand it? And then terror. Am I going bankrupt? And then back and forth. And then I'm just hoping that, he says the wrong thing up on stage or whatever. I mean, who knows? Like I had a Occidental play, OXY, and they came out with fantastic earnings, and they were doing a share buyback and everything, and the stock just didn't do anything. Then it went up a little bit the next morning. I made a small profit, sold, but like, who knows? He could say all the best stuff in the world, and it could just go down because it's going to go down after the hype. Or he could say something horrendous. Who knows?
And we mentioned earlier, it's at 4, so I don't know if you know, it's going to be like right at market close if you were going to do anything with it or if you're going to hold, but just a FYI.
I basically, as soon as I buy Tesla puts, I assume the money's gone. Like, I just go ahead and make my peace with that. So I'm going to hold it through the deal. I'm one of those people who likes to hold things through the earnings, which I should have learned my lesson on not doing that. But it worked out really well on Facebook. And so I'm just playing with house money, and it's whatever. It's gone.
Tesla's always a hard play because it's got a lot of that. I mean, it is the OG meme, right? It's got a lot of that meme strength behind it that sometimes the numbers just don't matter. They're just going to buy and hold.
A lot of fanboy stuff, if you will.
Yeah, and that's very true. I'm just hoping that maybe we're in a new era where, it did get beat down pretty hard for several months on end. So I'm hoping there's a lot of bears out there and a lot of other bigger companies that have interests against them that I'm hoping they're sitting there waiting in the weeds. At least that's my guess.
I appreciate you sharing. Sorry not to single you out, but just while we're on topic, Copper, do you have a Ferrari in your collection? Just curious.
I have a Murcielago V12 engine. So like 2017, I had a lot of crypto. In fact, I remember, was it like 2008 or maybe 9, 10, somewhere around there? A guy offered to buy one of my Supras with Bitcoin, and he was like a drug dealer, so he did a lot of stuff with Bitcoin, and I think it was worth like $2 or something at that point. He offered me 7,500 Bitcoins for the Supra, and I laughed at him. Anyway, side note. But when I made a little money off crypto, I couldn't afford the whole Win Lambo, so I just bought the engine. And inevitably I'll put it in something, but no Ferrari yet. Though my wife did want a car She wanted a new Toyota Sequoia because she's pregnant and having a kid and all that. And I told her, I was like, with one baby, you really only need 2 seats. And a Ferrari 348 is the same price as a Sequoia. So I damn near convinced her to get a Ferrari for her first baby car, but it didn't play out.
My hat's off to you. That is a ballsy attempt. What would be great for a baby? That's funny. That's really funny. And then you ended up buying a Chrysler Town and Country, right? Now you got a minivan.
Yeah, actually, I did buy a Chrysler. I convinced her to get a Ram 2500 crew cab because we can use it for other stuff. But she, there's no laws against car seats in the front seat if there isn't a back seat.
So, I hate to break it to you, but you were never close to convincing her to getting that Ferrari. You're very lucky. Apparently, she loves you a ton, and she let you think that you were close to convincing her to getting a Ferrari. So, I guess you've got a very solid relationship there that she even let you think you were close to that one. But yeah, that was never in the stars from the second you said Ferrari.
My knowledge about women is about as good as my knowledge at trading stocks. I just have fun with it.
Dude, I'm going car shopping like this week, and I'm looking at those Pacific S's. Those are nice.
They're super reliable. We had so the Pacifica is the base platform for the ProMaster cargo vans, and everybody hates on the ProMaster cargo vans for being front wheel drive because they're based off the Pacifica Grand Caravans, but they're actually way more reliable than the Transit Connects and the Mercedes Sprinters, and they're faster too.
Yeah, we had one for like a week when the car was in the shop, and it was just everything about it, the materials, everything. It's just top line.
Well, I mean, if you look at the inside of a Maserati, it's effectively all the same components as a Pacifica. They just took all the Chrysler parts and put them in there because they were good enough.
So, are places by you not charging an up price on vehicles? Because everything by me still has the supply chain plus like $8,000 for this vehicle service fee. Is that not a thing?
Yeah,
Nah.
it is, but I need to get a car,
Yeah, down in the south, it's not that bad.
Every single place around me is like that. It's so annoying. I'm not upcharging just because you guys are like, nah, no thank you.
I'm in Detroit, and it's not too bad. It's come down a lot from like COVID highs.
If y'all ever need a deal on a car, help with a car, service advice, any of that stuff, I dabble in pretty much every brand there is on the planet. So always willing to help.
Well, I was asking about your Ferrari too, because I had my neighbor trying to sell me his Ferrari Testarossa, but it was a couple of years ago. So I would have made money on it too if I would have bought it. He was trying to sell it to me before the pandemic, so my car's faster now. There's no reason for it.
Hey man, Testarossa stands for redhead, and as a ginger, I do want to own one day, but it just depends on what year it was.
It was 90. It was cherry red. It was 89 or 90, and it was cherry red. I mean, he was the only owner.
Yeah, you definitely should have snagged that one and then just put it on Bring a Trailer and made an extra $50K.
I'd still kick myself.
You got to treat your missed car opportunities like your ex-girlfriends, right? You don't look at them anymore. They're gone. It's over.
Fair enough. You know I know that.
Well, guys, it's 11 o'clock. I think I'm going to shut this puppy down. I don't know where Opinion went off to. He's busy. But
yeah, we definitely went on quite a few tangents today.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know, I
well, I
appreciate
like it. I mean, I like all the discussion and stuff, and I didn't want to shut it down, but I think we're all stonked out for the day, and I will see you all later.
Later,
Yep.
Skull.
Appreciate it. Word to your mom.
Yep. See you all tomorrow.